Okay, let's go over some back four basics. Um, we'll talk about the cover rule, which is here's the ball, and if the ball is coming to, say, this central defender, as the ball is traveling, at least these two defenders should drop off to provide cover in case a fumble and it gets by. This is always important to make sure that the player receiving the ball has some cover in case there's a fumble. It happens a lot, especially headers. Ball in the air, as the ball is traveling, these drop off, and then this is a miss hit, and it comes back, and then we have somebody back here to scoop it up. So always a ball coming to one of our back four, at least two should drop off as a safety precaution. And then we have what we call last man back rule. So if this defender has the ball here and there's pressure up, we don't want this player to be with the ball. We want this player, a player behind the last player with the ball. So the player with the ball should always have a drop. And then if we turn and drop back to here, we're okay until this pressing player makes the run, and then this player would have to be the last man back, or it could be this player. But the player on the ball should always have a drop to relieve the pressure from here. If this is up here, we're okay. We don't need pressure. We don't need a drop. We don't need the last man back to not have the ball. We're okay because this is so far away. But as this gets close, and I usually use 5 yards as the rule, then we've got to have a player to relieve this pressure. Okay? So the next thing is showing in on the outside part of the field. So if a blue player has the ball here, we want our right back to be on the outside of this player to force this player to have to play in. And then our shape looks like this. So we call it a hockey stick. And the back line forms, so we've got a cover player here. And then these two are called balance players. So we have pressure, cover, and then this balances out the back line. If this player passes to here, I'm trying not to use the midfield to get it muddied up, but if this player passes, well, let's say this player passes back a straight drop, then we want our back line to then be flat again. So we're trying to always keep this back line flat. And the distance that the back line is from the ball is determined by the boss of the back line, which could be the central player or this central player. But their job is to determine if that ball can be played behind them. If the ball can go over or through, then the back line should be dropped further off. Once you're determined that the ball isn't going to be played over, you can actually push up. So if this player gets the ball and we have this player coming in to press, and then the ball goes back this way, then the line should move up. and still be flat, stay flat. So it's all determined on pressure on the ball. If the ball gets played back into this player and we have pressure on the ball, the back line can hold. But if the pressure is lost, which is the reason why we don't want you to reach in and try to win the ball, but just maintain pressure, just contain and show in, even as a midfielder, then the back line can stay high. If we lose that pressure, and this becomes this situation, now the back line just has to drop off. Just drop. And how far do you know how far to go back? Well, it's based on the boss of the back line determining how far I need to be back so that the ball stays in front of us. So if we're going to have space, if we're going to give space to the other team, we want it to be in front of us, not behind us. So if the ball, for some reason, was to get beyond back here, then we have what we call recovery runs. So we're on the wrong side of the ball. Blue is going to get it. We go to the near post on a recovery run. We want to turn and run directly at the near post. So it's drawing this player on that line. It's drawing this player on that line and this player on that line. And as quick as we can, we want to try to get to our pressure and our cover and our balance. So if this player, let's say, trips or is tired or whatever, this player is making the run to the near post, and as you get level with the ball, you have to decide where you fit in. So we have our pressure, we have our cover, but we don't have a balance player because, for whatever reason. So as this player is making this run, gets level with the ball and says, we got pressure, we got cover, but we don't have a balance, then I'm going to make that run in here and become the balance player. And if this player can get it back together, would fill in over here. So the idea of pushing in, showing in, is that this is where our help is, and we don't have to worry about blue players that are out here because this player can't really get them the ball if we're doing our job to show in. So the basics of it is when the ball moves, we all move, and we're trying to keep this line flat until we have to confront a player from the other team with the ball. If it's back here, we're basically going to stay flat and move together. So if the ball goes to here and then out to the side, somehow the ball gets over here, then this back line is going to slide to the left. And this is where we want, as you're moving to the left, you should look back to your right and make sure that this player is moving with you as you go out. So we all slide to the left as one unit. The back line is like working together all the time. It's kind of like being connected with an invisible rope. So it's the important thing about it is to not dive in if this player has the ball and we're going to confront that player. We don't want to reach and try to win it if we don't have cover yet, because if they get by, then we're in trouble here.